Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be talking about the trend graveyard for 2023 interior design trends that we're saying goodbye to. Hopefully. Some of this might be wishful thinking on my part. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, just right from the hop, I'm just gonna mention that. These are the trends that maybe were super popular this year and that maybe we're just gonna leave behind and say thanks for the good times, but we're ready to move on to bigger and better things here in 2024. So let's get going. Of course, before let's get going, I wanna thank today's sponsor, which is Shopify. So Shopify is a commerce platform. I have used Shopify for over 10 years. I've had them, oh my gosh, I mean, not only my most recent company, Ollie Nickel, but also the juice company that I owned all those years ago was always on Shopify. I will say the thing about Shopify is that everything is so easy to use. They've got amazing, beautiful, professionally designed templates for you to use. So simple for you to get started. You can just upload your products, upload your photography, your description, your prices, whatever. And they handle a lot of the back end stuff that's like really annoying about setting up a website. And they make it so easy to set up a commerce site so you can get selling right away. You've probably got loads of talent of things that you can do that you can actually start selling on Shopify and get up and running so quickly, and I love that. Also, if you ever decide to sell in person, Shopify does the whole thing. You can go in person, they've got a point of sale system, it just connects to your iPad, whatever, your phone, makes it so easy for you to be able to sell on the go. So get started with Shopify today and go to shopify.com/NickLewis, which is linked down below in the description. Now let's get back to the trend graveyard of things we are leaving behind in 2023. Okay, trend number one that we are leaving in the trend graveyard is going to be impractical sofas, especially the duped to death sofas. Okay, so we're talking the Mario Bellini, we're talking the Togo, we're talking the Cloud sofa. We're talking about those sofas that are impractical, that I have talked about at length, even when I felt they were at their height of their popularity, looking at you, Cloud Sofa, that I have thought that these were never really super practical. Listen, there's a lot of things that, you know, that are worth the hassle when it comes to design. You know, there's some things I just really like. Yes, you know, stone countertops, you know, they can be a little bit more work than say something like, you know, quartz or laminate or whatever. And you might be like, oh, but are they worth the hassle? You know, like, are they worth it? Yes, sometimes they are. You know, like if you really love them and you've got the budget for it, sometimes they can be worth it. Yes, you know, some things are worth it for me. Impractical sofas aren't one of them. Sofas are not one of them. You know, like I want a sofa to work. I want a sofa to be comfortable. I want a sofa to sit on. I don't need a sofa that I'm gonna fluff every 5 seconds like I do the Cloud sofa. That thing from RH, if you're not familiar, when you get up, it looks fine when it's perfect. It looks fine in the showroom, looks fine on the website. But you have to shake that sucker every single time you get up, otherwise it looks like garbo. So you really need to be careful with this one. I think we're tired of this trend. There's also like the Mario Bellini sofa, the Togo sofa. Have you tried to get out of that Togo sofa? Listen, I don't care. Maybe if you're 17, they're fine because they look like and feel like a beanbag chair, but like for the rest of us, they just don't make sense, right? The Mario Bellini, I mean, you know, it's a statement. And that's kind of the thing. That's the thing with these sofas. People got them, they bought in, especially like the chic 70s designer ones that were super popular back in the day. They got them because the number one feature was that they were unique. They were special, they were interesting. You put a Mario Bellini sofa in your living room, it said something about you, right? It said that you knew effortless Italian style. And yes, it was a bit ugly, but it was interesting and it was different than the mid-century modern sofas from Article that everybody else was getting. And you had an interesting sofa, but then they became not interesting because everybody had them. And all of a sudden it wasn't quite the style statement that you thought it was. And I think that's where we're at now, you know? And then of course the dupes come in because, well, why not? I mean, there's money to be made and no, there's not that many 1970s Italia sofas that are out there anymore. So, you know, if you wanna get a super vintagey one, good for you. You can get, I think the new one, they're still making them, but those are expensive. So they start moving down the ladder and people start to like get in on the dupes and whatever, and they're never probably really going to be necessarily as good, especially in something like a sofa. Some dupes are better than others in my opinion. But I would say that this is a trend we're gonna leave behind. The dupe to death sofas. How many Cloud sofas dupes are out there? I mean, there's so many. And you know, like if you still love them and you wanna take part and a dupe makes sense for you, then just go for it, I say. But like, I think this is something we're ready to leave behind. I think we're ready for our sofas to do more. And by more, I mean not require a ton of maintenance, be nice and comfortable. That's all I ask. That's all I'm really asking. Maybe a little bit stylish, obviously, but I think we're expecting too much from our sofas. And I think we're leaving this behind in 2023. Bye-bye. Okay, next up on my list, and don't get too mad at me because I know I've talked about this in the channel before, but I think we need to talk about Limewash. I think we're ready to talk about it, folks. Okay, so I have said before that I think the really colorful Limewashes always felt dated before they went in. You know, like the pink ones, the like rosy pink ones, or the blue Limewashes, or the emerald green Limewashes, the forest greens, whatever. I thought that the contrast in the Limewash paint made it feel like sponge paint from 1990s, and I didn't ever really love that. So I never really liked that. I do find that the creamy light ones, the off-whites or the whites, I do think that those will probably age better, because really I think the more modern aspect of Limewash that people like is how matte they are. But I think a matte paint can achieve that without necessarily the sort of mottled kind of look that you're getting with something like a Limewash or maybe even a Roman clay. Doing your entire house in Limewash or Roman clay is a commitment and expensive. And as I have mentioned before on this channel, quite difficult to remove, especially the Roman clay. If it has to be troweled on, that's a lot more work than a Limewash. But I will say that this was super fun. And I think that I still see them in commercial settings, and they look kind of cool in commercial settings, if that's kind of the thing you're going for. I do see them a lot in restaurants and retail stores and things like that. That's different, I think, in a home. I think this is going to start to wear out its welcome here as we move into 2024. And although, you know, if you love it and you still have it, go for it. But I do think that this is something that maybe, you know, was a little bit, was fun for a while, and maybe less fun going forward. But again, trends come and go, but if you love it, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? So stick with, like, subway tile is kind of out, but I still think subway tile is great. So like, who cares? But I would say that this, as a trend in terms of like the height of its popularity, I think we've reached peak Limewash and we're coming down the other side of that hill. Okay, next up, I'm gonna have to talk about Backlit stone. Okay, Backlit stone. Okay, this was one I also never bought into. What is Backlit stone? Well, usually it's onyx is usually the stone of choice, and mostly just because there's some transparency there. And what happens is that you put LED lights behind it. If one of those bursts out, like burns out or whatever, I mean, like if your light goes, oof, that's a nightmare. I don't even want to think about that. Yeah, people are backlighting their onyx for their bars, for their like fancy little basement suite areas, bar areas, you know, coffee stations, countertops even, which is quite a statement. Seeing a lot of this in really high-end design, I think it looks tacky. I'm just gonna say it. Let stone be stone. If you wanna light it up, I would say putting, you know, the kick at the bottom of your cabinetry, great. Doing some under counter cabinetry that's over top of, say, something like a recessed stone or something, cool, go for it. But it's the backlit stuff. I think it just takes something really beautiful and timeless and gorgeous and amazing like a natural stone and just makes it look really cheesy in like a Vegas way, you know what I mean? Oof, I don't like this one. Now, if you run a speakeasy in Brooklyn and you're like, oh, I want to do something with it, fine, go for it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to do that, go for it. If you're doing some sort of little cute little coffee shop or whatever, you're like, I think I want to backlit my stone. Would I advise it? Not necessarily. I don't really like it. It's not my taste, but it might make sense in a commercial setting. If you're doing some weird Art Deco space or something really cool, I love Art Deco, don't love this though. But if that's what you want to do, I think that can work really well. But in a home, I don't think it's really appropriate for home use, even the super high-end stuff. As I said, oh my gosh, if this thing burns out, you've got other problems. If you've got to get an electrician in and he sees that electrical is behind a giant slab of onyx, he's going to start charging you a little bit more, I'm not gonna lie. So this is not a trend that I ever really loved, and I hope we can leave this one in 2023 and move on and let stone just be stone. Sometimes things can just be things, you know? Okay, next up on my list, this one I'm actually really passionate about, is social media driven DIYs. I blame you, TikTok. I blame you. I'm looking you square in the face, TikTok, because this was all you. Listen, video has been democratized. I can be here and I can make video content in my living room when HGTV would not give me a show. So I can say what I want, I can do what I want, no one cares. We've now moved that into got one of these. Your phone can do it all, right? Oh my gosh, isn't that great? We've just made it, democratized it even more so that anybody can share video content. But should they? That's the question, right? And some of these DIYs, is it good? Question. Somebody watching these videos right now and I'm like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't give everybody, including Nick, a camera. No, you know, like maybe we shouldn't give everybody a camera to be able to film their fever dream that they decided to cook up for their new bedroom. I'm looking at things like the spiderweb infested cloud ceilings. They're not spiderweb infested, but to me they look like spiderwebs, and therefore a spider is gonna make themselves right at home. You've got those little cloud ceiling-y thingies. We've got the foam mirrors. We've got the like weird lighting things. Listen, I'm all for like if you wanna teach people to do kind of a cool sort of DIY that actually looks good, fine. But a lot of these are just, they're not good, you guys. And so much of TikTok and stuff is teenagers, and teenagers want to express themselves and also most likely don't have very much money. So I understand why they're getting really creative with the like DIYs on the socials. But to me, I think we need to leave these. I think we need to go, these are just destined for the landfill. They're not good for the environment. These never look good. They don't look good when you made them. Some things are left to the pros. I'm a firm believer in that. Some things are just left to someone who knows what they're doing. So like if you're somebody who's like, you know, you're like, oh, I'm gonna make a table out of some old baseball bats that I found, then like, you know, I just think that maybe there's something to be said for making that, or allowing somebody else to make that table. Someone who's a pro, who actually knows how to do woodworking and understands craftsmanship. I think that's probably a better approach than some of these weird DIYs that we've seen. So let's park these. Let's leave these in 2023 and move on and let people that know what they're doing do what they do. That's what I'm saying. That's on trend for 2024. You heard it here. Okay, next up, I'm continuing my anti-TikTok trend with the Squiggles and Blobs, because I do think that this is a postmodern Gen Z induced situation with the squiggles. Listen, some of them can be fun. You know what I mean? Some of these I don't really like, because to me, they always look like a 90s CD tower rack. Do you know what I mean? Like all these, like the waves, like that was, I remember that. I was there, it wasn't good. Wasn't good then, not good now. So a lot of this postmodern stuff I don't really love, just my personal preference. Now, you know, if you want to throw in a squiggle here and there, if you want to throw into something that's got a little bit of a wave, go for it. If you got a little candlestick and it's fine. If you go to something that's feeling a little blobby because you want like an organic shape, fine. But the blobs are out of control. There's just too many blobs, blobby coffee tables. We've got the blobby side tables, blobby art. Everything is a blob. Everything looks like it's melting. Everything is shapeless. What about structure? What about lines? You know what I mean? Like what happened to these? Could we bring these back a little bit? A little bit of fun, go for it. Mix them in if you so choose. Some of these really cartoonish looking postmodern spaces are just not really my style. Again, mix in, have a little bit of fun, go for it, sure. But some of these things just look, I don't know, like some sort, it reminds me of the sets from like the cartoons, I feel like, or the kids shows that I used to watch back in like the late 80s, early 90s. That sort of reminds me of it. It just feels very cartoonish, it feels very juvenile, and that's why I don't love them. So have your fun. Sure, a little bit. Let's mix them in going forward. But like the all blobby, all squigglies, let's leave these behind, I think, a little bit. Okay, next up on my list is gonna be Creme Boucle. Creme Boucle, I think, has finally run its course. Now, I talk to furniture retailers all the time, and they still tell me that the Creme Boucle sells. Hotcakes wish they could sell like Creme Boucle, honestly. And even they're a little bit like tired of it. I get it. I have a Creme Boucle thing in my house. I know, I always said, but like, whatever. I told a story in my house tour about why I have it, and it was because the other fabric was like super delayed by like, I don't know, 8 months or so. So whatever, it's fine. A little touch of it can be fine. But we all don't need the Gwyneth Creme Boucle side chair from CB2. That same chair, we don't need it. They sell so many of these chairs. I swear they are everywhere. We don't all need the Gwyneth. That side chair and the Creme Boucle has been all over the place, kicked off the Creme Boucle craze around the world, which I'll be honest, when I go to a lot of people's houses, I don't see that much Creme Boucle, but they sell a ton of it, so some of y'all are buying it. Listen, there's other fabrics that are out there that have texture, that are interesting, that don't have to be Creme Boucle. Now, a lot of people are saying colored boucle is trendy for 2024. We're moving into brown boucle and green boucle, and so look forward to that. That can be fine, I guess. That can be fun if that's your vibe, cool. I love textured fabrics, I really, really do. It was on my list of trends I'm really excited about, but I think we can start to have fun with texture without just Creme Boucle being this front and center all the time. So I think this particular one we've hit peak Creme Boucle, and now we're sort of exploring other things. Some of which I love, some of which I don't, and that's okay, but maybe just the Creme Boucle, we're just gonna cool it a little bit on that, I think. Okay, next up is going to be gray. I touched on this and how gray is over in a video that I did this year. I just wanted to really this was on life support before, but we're just gonna put the nail in this coffin. Gray, all gray is depressing. I think we are, you know, colors matter and color theory matters, and it really does affect your mood. And I think just everything being all gray just feels like the world, it's like Dementors from Harry Potter walked into your room and just sucked all the joy out of your place. You know what I mean? That's how I feel when I go into an all gray space. I think we're tired of the all gray. I think we're looking for a little bit more color. Bold color is super, super in. Warmer colors are definitely in. And I think that's ultimately a good thing. Maroon, burgundy. If I had to pick the color of the years next year, I would say heading more towards these rich burgundies and sort of plum colors, red wine, just these sorts of colors are really, really popular. Brown, beige has been popular now for a couple of years. Gray is just done, okay? I think we're just over it. Now, listen, because I know someone's like, you hate gray. Okay, I don't hate gray. Gray is a fine neutral. It's the all gray. It's when everything's all gray. I just don't think you need it. Little bits of gray is fine. Black's a good neutral. White's a good neutral. Gray is a mix of both, and it's fine too. They're great. But just when everything is that color, it's a bit depressing, I think. Like white can feel a little bit like hospital when everything's all white. Black can feel a little bit, you know, like it just feels really dark and kind of also depressing and you can't really see what's going on. Gray is just all the saturation of the world just was really toned down. And I think we're just tired of that. Looking for a little bit more color, a little bit more fun in our design. That's what I'm looking forward to going forward. Okay, next on my list is gonna be the like oversaturation of checkerboard. So, okay, checkerboard is a fine pattern. Oh, it's got a lot of contrast, I'll be honest. So prepared to make a significant statement when you're using it because typical, you know, you got the black and the white, which has actually not actually been what's really been trending the last little bit, but black and white checkerboard, a lot of contrast there. It's built in, right? But it's a timeless pattern. And I think a black and white checkerboard floor in a hallway or something, oh, that is timeless, that is beautiful, that is not super what I'm really talking about here. We have seen though, checkerboard everywhere. And I think the checkerboard rugs and the checkerboard blankets and the checkerboard wall murals and the checkerboard side tables. And again, also in weird colors. So like pink and white and like blue and white, always usually in a pastel, always usually in some sort of postmodern space. Usually there's some squiggles and blobs all over the place. That is sort of the style that has, or one of the styles that has been quite trendy over the last year. And I think that we're ready to kind of say goodbye to it a little bit. And I think we're ready to have fun with different patterns and different colors and different things rather than sort of the pastel checkerboard pattern. Also, shout out to like the wonky checkerboard. So people just taking a checkerboard pattern, but making it even weirder by like kind of going for something a little bit more psychedelic and it makes you feel like you're gonna fall over. It makes you dizzy. Like, okay, maybe we're done with those ones too. That's just an idea. But I think people are taking checkerboards a little bit too far. You know, it was a fun trend. It was fun while it lasted, but I think we're ready to sort of park it a little bit and move forward. Now, as I said, checkerboard itself is a fine pattern. It's a fine pattern. It's a timeless pattern, but you know what I'm talking about. We've seen these 1,000 times and I think we're a little bit done with it, to be honest. Personally. So that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. This was the trend graveyard for 2023. I'm gonna link here to trends that I am not excited about for 2024. So, you know, if you wanted me to go negative in this video, then you'll really like that one. I also do have a video where I talk about trends I am excited for, by the way, but you know, that's not what you're here for, are you? So let's talk about the ones I'm not excited about going forward into 2024. I will see you on that video. Thanks, bye.